following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFN coming to you with a very special video. A big shout out and thank you to my very good friend M.OTransformers for hooking me up with a Transformers action figure that I had great difficulty finding on my own. He found this and sent this to me as a surprise gift, so thank you M.OTransformers once again. Thank you so much for this. And let's get into a review of Transformers Generations, Legacy Evolution, Buzzworthy Bumblebee, Deluxe Class, Origin Autobot Jazz. Boy, what a mouthful that was to say. Yes, this is Buzzworthy Origin Jazz, and it's just like the Origin Bumblebee figure that was released 2 years ago. In 2021. And which is, I believe that was one of the first figures that started the Buzzworthy line as it exists today. This is a figure is Jazz based on the alt mode that he had in the Transformers Generation 1 cartoon on planet Cybertron in the very first episode of Transformers Generation 1. And to my knowledge, one of the reasons why a lot of Transformers fans and collectors are excited about this figure is just like with Origins, the Buzzworthy Origin Bumblebee figure. I don't believe anybody, including third-party companies, have tried to tackle or design an action figure based on the alt mode, on the Cybertron alt mode Jazz had in Transformers Generation 1. And so it's super exciting to finally see a figure of Jazz transform into the vehicle mode that Sunbow Productions gave him in the Transformers Generation 1 cartoon. The reason why I just looked back at something is because of something I forgot to grab, but I'll bring it out in just a moment. But yes, I'm really thrilled with Jazz here. Unfortunately, the post office smashed the box. This is how it arrived, with this huge dent on it and the top section ripped up as a result of that. So, unfortunately, the post office isn't too careful with products like this. But here is Jazz inside the box. You can see he's really nice looking there inside the box. You got some artwork of his Cybertron in vehicle mode, and that's the selling point of this action figure, is the vehicle mode. Now, going in here to this side of the box, you've got some artwork of Jazz as here in his robot mode. Very impressive looking, and yes, I believe it is, because you can see the racing spoiler there behind his legs. This is the robot mode of Jazz as the figure you get here. Getting the clip out of the way, there's the Legacy Evolution logo right there. Here the new Buzzworthy logo right here on the bottom of the box. And here is something that yesterday finally became redundant. Hasbro's advertising that they use plastic-free packaging for their Transformers action figures because they are, what's it used here is, except for tape and glue, they use plastic-free packaging. It's even advertised here in multiple languages here on the artwork side of the box. It's in English. I believe the other languages are Spanish, French, and I think the others might be Italian and German, but don't quote me on that because I'm not certain. But yeah, there's 5 languages advertising that, and with plastic-free packaging, as evidenced by the logo of 2 leaves hanging off a tree branch, and it's more environmentally friendly. But Hasbro announced yesterday that they are going to do away with plastic-free packaging because of all of the reported thefts and poor sales of not just Transformers action figures, but all the products they sell with plastic-free packaging. The open windows here, it's turned out to be a bad idea, and for the sake of being environmentally friendly, it's not worth the profit loss that Hasbro has seen. So, they announced that later this year that plastic windows will return to the products that they sell. And from what I've seen, I can't speak for any of the other products or other lines of merchandise that Hasbro sells, but for the Transformers action figures, from what I've seen, other Transformers collectors and fans say open plastic-free packaging resulting in an open windowed box. It's been a stupid idea, and it's one that hasn't really worked out too well, and it's one that's frustrated fans and collectors. So hopefully the return of plastic window packaging will mean the buying experience of Transformers action figures will be like it was before this Hasbro's craze of wanting to have plastic-free packaging. They try to enforce it. Now. One thing to note about Origin Jazz, I don't know if it is just because of the Legacy Evolution promo, or if they just decided to do it regardless, but one thing that's changed here on the box itself is the poster artwork for the Buzzworthy Bumblebee line. You still have a close-up of Bumblebee's evergreen head design, but the rest of the artwork has changed here on the side of the box. You've got an image of Megatron, I believe that's from the Transformers Earth Wars video game, and then you've got Optimus Prime, also I believe from the Transformers Earth Wars video game. And the poster images for the Buzzworthy Bumblebee line, they're basically to show that just about any Transformers character could be released in the Buzzworthy Bumblebee line. This line started off as a line that was dedicated to not just Bumblebee, but other Transformers characters that have interacted directly with him. But over the last 2 years since the Buzzworthy line took off, it's basically just become the line for Transformers action figures that here in the United States are released exclusively at Target stores, and for other countries around the world that don't have Target stores, most of the Buzzworthy products, they've either been released exclusively online, or they've been released at mass retail. So yeah, the Buzzworthy Bumblebee line, it's become a line that it's just a brand name. It's just a brand name, and it's basically just for American collectors here in the U.S., as it's the place to go find. These are the Transformers action figures that you'll find at Target stores, but not at Walmart stores. Alright, my apologies for that, but one thing I wanted to show you guys is the difference in the box art for the Legacy Evolution Buzzworthy line versus Legacy Year 1. This is Buzzworthy Blue Streak, or Silver Streak, I meant to say, yeah, Silver Streak. Here's just a quick comparison of the change in the artwork for the Buzzworthy Bumblebee line. You've got RC now down on the poster image where Optimus Prime was, as the main background image behind Bumblebee's face. Originally, it was a close-up of Mirage from, I believe, the Transformers comic books, and then here on the top you originally had RC. It's the same image of RC. Or is it the same image? No, it's not. It's a different image, but you had RC from, I believe, that was just the artwork for her Earthrise action figure. It's now replaced with Megatron. And then down here you've got, I believe that's RC from the Earth Wars game, and then you've got Optimus Prime from the Cyberverse cartoon down here. So they basically swapped out Mirage for Megatron, and then rearranged where RC and Optimus Prime appear. And the only difference on the artwork is Bumblebee. And then one thing that I find amusing is that here the Autobot logo that's part of the poster image, the color scheme has been inverted. It was originally a yellow Autobot logo on a black background, and now it's a black Autobot logo on a yellow background, so that's really fun difference there to see with that. One of the reasons why Silver Streak's box doesn't have the plastic-free packaging typed on, is because the last bit of plastic that was used on the packaging for the Legacy Year 1 Transformers was the clips that held them on the pegs above eggs on the shelves at Target stores, and also the mass retail figures at Walmart. They were made out of plastic, but on the Legacy Evolution figure, these hooks are now made out of cardboard. Whether or not the cardboard hooks or the plastic hooks will return when plastic-free packaging comes to an end is uncertain. But let's continue on with Jazz's box. Here's the back of it. You've got the robot mode, and you've got the alt mode. Again, this is the alt mode Jazz had in the very first episode of Transformers Generation 1, Worthy Meets the Eye Part 1. And this is the selling point of the Origin Jazz figures, that this, I believe, is the very first ever action figure that has had Jazz transform into his G1 Cybertron alt mode. So it's really exciting to see that. And he transforms back and forth between both modes in just 20 steps. Again, he is part of the Legacy Evolution line. He's just been released in the Buzzworthy line, so he could be released as a Target exclusive here in the US and make it harder for collectors to buy him. And it's a shame because some countries where there's Target stores, where there aren't Target stores is what I was trying to say. It makes it harder to obtain those exclusive Transformers, and oftentimes collectors have to go the extra mile and have the figures imported to where they live. And with the way import costs are now, for many collectors it's not worth the extra cost. But overall, I do enjoy how Jazz turned out. He does come with 2 weapons. He comes with his blaster, which is now done in gray plastic, and a grappling hook, and then you can attach the grappling hook to the end of the blaster, make it look like Jazz is actually firing his grappling hook at his enemies. And that's part of the Evo Fusion gimmick, that you can combine the weapons into larger weapons. The Evo Fusion gimmick for the Legacy Evolution line, it's a gimmick that, in my opinion, it doesn't really have to be enforced, because that's a similar gimmick that other Transformers action figures in previous lines had, was being able to combine weapons. But without further delay, let's get Jazz out of his box. Once again, a very special thank you to my friend and M.OTransformers for fixing me up with this Transformers action figure. So let's take a look at Jazz in robot mode. Alright, so here is Jazz out of the box and transformed into his robot mode. I decided to just combine the grappling hook and his blaster together. It's a very impressive looking laser gun with the grappling hook attached. But yeah, I really enjoy how Jazz turned out. I've already commented on this in other reviews I've seen of this figure, but I really enjoy how accurate this figure is to the Generation 1 cartoon. It's definitely from the front and very Generation 1 accurate. So, one of the reasons why it took so long for an action figure of Jazz that transforms into his Generation 1 Cybertron alt mode, why it took so long for the designers at Hasbro and Tomy to come up with this, and why third-party companies haven't really designed a figure like this before now, is because what Sumbo Productions did is they wanted to introduce everyone to the fact that the Transformers were robots who could turn into vehicles. They looked at the action figures that were being released by Hasbro, and they designed vehicle modes for the cartoon that they could transform on planet Cybertron, which were basically alien-looking vehicles, for lack of better vocabulary. But what Sumbo Productions did is they did not alter at all the appearance of the characters when they transformed into their robot mode. So the idea was that within the fictional storyline of the Transformers G1 cartoon show, is that Transformers characters, whenever they take on a new vehicle mode, the appearance of their robot mode doesn't change at all. The only thing that changes is the vehicle mode that they transform into. So to try and design an action figure of Jazz that looks like his robot mode, with the vehicle mode that he transforms into when he arrives on planet Earth, which is a Porsche, only to transform into the hover car that Sumbo Productions created for him. It proved to be a very difficult task. And the reason why I say that it proved difficult is because of the simple fact that this vehicle mode was seen on almost practically day 1 of the Transformers franchise, and it took until the year 2023, which is the 39th year of the Transformers franchise, Hasbro and Tomy to design a figure like this. Whether or not this is going to inspire third-party companies to make their own version of Origin Jazz is uncertain at this point. But I just really thrilled with how the figure turned out. And for some size comparisons, here is Origin Jazz next to Studio Series 86 Deluxe Class Jazz. So here they are, standing beside each other. Some Transformers fans and collectors have pointed out that they prefer the head sculpt design on Origin Jazz versus Studio Series 86 Jazz. The head sculpts, they aren't quite the same, but they are different shaped head. They are different head sculpts, but they're close enough for me personally that I wouldn't bother. I don't uh, see any need to swap out the head sculpts from them. I've seen in some more than one review where some were thinking of swapping the heads between these guys because they prefer the blue visor over the dark blue visor of Origin Jazz over the light blue visor given to Studio Series 86 Jazz. And now that I'm actually looking at the heads close up, I take back what I said. I think I think it is the exact same head sculpt. The only difference is that there's more silver paint on Studio Series 86 Jazz's face, and of course the visors being different colors. But yes, I think the heads are. It is the exact same head, just done with a different shade of different color on the visor. So yeah, that's so. If you wanted to do a head swap between these two figures, you can easily do it if you desire. Unfortunately, one of the reasons why I thought the head sculpts might be different in some way at first is because, unfortunately, on my copy of Studio Series 86 Jazz, as his chin gets caught when I transform him, and so the silver paint has chipped off, and so Studio Series 86 Jazz now has a small goatee. So hopefully that won't be an issue here with the Origin Jazz action figure. But yeah, I really enjoy seeing them standing beside each other. I know that when you look at them from the sides and when you look at them from the back, they look almost completely different. But at least looking at them from the front, despite the actual front of the sports car being the actual chest on this figure, while it's a faux chest on this one, I really enjoy the similarities between these two figures. And as the back of the box showed, taking the grappling hook off the laser gun. This is a weapon that Jazz did use. I believe he did use his grappling hook more than once in the Generation 1 cartoon. But instead of attaching it to his blaster, he just deployed it from his wrist. So there are 5mm ports on the reverse sides of Jazz's wrists. So if you want to reenact the scenes in the G1 cartoon when he would deploy his grappling hook from his wrist, you can do that now. So that's pretty nice to see that there. The grappling hook itself, the 3 blades can rotate around. They do spin around, so that's another nice play feature there. But unfortunately, the spinning blades are a separate piece, so I recommend you avoid the spinning if you don't want the 2 parts of the grappling hook to become separated. And for one last size comparison in robot mode, here's Origin Jazz next to Origin Bumblebee. And I'm really thrilled with able to finally have action figures of these guys that transform into the G1 Cybertron alt modes. I've been waiting for years since I watched the G1 cartoon for the first time back in 2007 to get action figures based on these designs. Some people have pointed out that the way the kibble of the vehicle modes hangs off, it prevents the robot modes from being completely Generation 1 accurate, but me personally, I don't care. I'm just thrilled to finally have action figures of these alt mode versions of these characters. Whether or not we're going to get an Origin Wheeljack figure is uncertain, but if we do get an Origin Wheeljack figure, I will most definitely buy it and add it to my Transformers collection. I really hope we do get Origin's Wheeljack because Wheeljack, along with Jazz and Bumblebee, were the only 3 Autobots shown transforming into both a Cybertron and an Earth-based vehicle mode. At least as far as I'm aware of, that was the case. I don't have any other Transformers characters off the top of my head from Generation 1 that possessed both a Cybertron alt mode and an Earth-based alt mode, apart from the 3 of them. So yeah, fingers crossed that we get Origin Wheeljack someday. A lot of Transformers fans and collectors have already pointed out that because Wheeljack and Jazz's Cybertron alt modes were not exactly the same vehicle, but they were similar enough in design that all Hasbro and Takatomi really have to do is just retool the robot mode chest and swap out the head sculpt, and then we could just easily get a Origin Wheeljack from this same action figure, and then just swap out Jazz's blue racing stripes with green and red ones for Wheeljack. But I personally hope that if we do get an Origin Wheeljack figure someday, that it'll be an entirely brand new mold and not just repaint and retool of Origin Jazz. So I keep talking about how the vehicle mode is the selling point of this Transformers action figure, so let's get it transformed. Take a look at Origin Jazz and his alt mode, and we'll wrap up the review. Alright, so here is Origin Jazz transformed into his alternate mode, and this is the alt mode that Jazz had in the very first episode of the Transformers Generation 1 cartoon while he was still on planet Cybertron before he became to Earth. The transformation, first time out of the box, it can be a little finicky, especially getting everything to line up properly. I don't think the arms are supposed to be shoved all the way in. The robot mode arms are unfortunately supposed to stick out this far down, and they're supposed to become like the, I guess the hover jets. That's to allow Jazz to hover over the ground. And but as you can see, unfortunately, not all the side panels line up properly. Yeah, they did line up properly when I had the arms folded farther down, even farther downwards than they are. But there's little pegs in there that they're supposed to be kept in place. So, apart from the transformation being the actual transformation from robot mode to vehicle mode being a little finicky, it's a pretty outstanding figure, and I love how accurate this is to the Generation 1 cartoon. It almost looks like Jazz's vehicle mode from that Sunbow Productions designed for him to have on planet Cybertron. I love how it has the blue hood with the silver painted grille, and then you got the blue stripe back here. The robot mode feet, they do kind of become a robot help Jazz be a robot in disguise by acting as a pair of back thrusters on the back. There's even 5mm ports there on the back. But yeah, I really enjoy how this figure came out. You can store the grappling hook right there on the underside of the vehicle mode, so that's very nice weapon storage for that. Unfortunately for Jazz's laser gun, and the only official weapon storage is to just have it sticking up here on top of the roof. You can't really have it. You can point it backwards if you want, but it doesn't. It takes away the symmetry of Jazz's alt mode. That's a real shame. Another thing you can do if you want to have if you don't want to have the laser gun sticking on Jazz's roof, you can have it. You can attach it to the back of his vehicle mode. Inside one of the feet, or if you want onto. From what I can tell, the gray on Jazz's feet on the toes, it's white plastic that's been painted gray. There's no actual white plastic for it, but if you want, another thing you can do if you desire is you can flip the feet down, and then you can store the laser gun here on the back. Like if you want the laser gun to be in a spot that's sort of out of the way, but unfortunately that's the best you can. That's the best you're going to get with the weapon storage. I really enjoy the Autobot logo that Jazz has here in his vehicle mode. He did have one in robot mode, but the Autobot logo, it's unpainted. It doesn't have a frame around it on it, and so even though my camera is making it stand out more, the red paint of the Autobot logo stand out prominently on the blue from Jazz's robot mode chest. If I angle it up like that, that's actually how it looks like in hand, where it's almost the red paint's almost blending into the blue plastic. If I shine a light on it, yeah, that's what it looks like there. So it doesn't look as prominent as my camera's making it out to be. But overall, I enjoy how this figure came out. Just like Origin Bumblebee, there's no wheels or actual landing gear on it. And technically, to be fair, even though for size comparison, here's Origin's Jazz next to Origin's Bumblebee. Even though Bumblebee, when he was blasted by the Decepticon Seekers that were chasing him in Wheeljack, he was shown having tires on the underside of his vehicle mode. That's led to some fan speculation as to whether or not if there were wheels that were just acting as like hover jets. Or hover engines for the vehicle mode. But unfortunately, just like Origin Bumblebee, there's no wheels here, so Jazz, unfortunately, he can't roll around on the ground. He is designed to be a hovercraft. But overall, I do enjoy the designs of both these figures. I really hope we get an Origins Wheeljack just to complete the trio of Cybertron on alt mode Autobots here, because just like Origin Bumblebee, possibly even more successfully than Origins Bumblebee, the Origins Jazz figure, I just am speechless at how incredible this figure turned out. I never thought we were going to get a G1 Cybertron alt mode action figure of Jazz. And the designers at Takara Tomy and Hasbro really managed to pull it off when designing this figure. And again, for another special size comparison, here he is next to Studio Series 86 Jazz. So again, there are some similarities with the overall proportions of these two vehicle modes. The fact that they're mostly white with blue stripes is another similarity. So I really enjoy the comparison of these two. The Studio Series 86 Jazz figure, it is a little wider with the wheel housing, but Origins Jazz is taller, and overall, they are pretty much the same size deluxe class figure. The proportions of the vehicles are just distributed out differently. And so I really enjoy how Jazz went from looking like this on planet Cybertron to looking like this on planet Earth. So I really enjoy seeing that there. And yes, I cannot get over this figure. So for the final question, do I recommend getting Transformers Buzzworthy Origin Jazz and adding this figure to your Transformers collection? I absolutely do. This is a must-have figure for anyone's Transformers collection. Even though the transformation was a little challenging getting all the panels lined up properly. Once you do, you end up with a vehicle mode that looks like it was taken out of the Generation 1 cartoon. And even though it took 39 years, Hasbro and Takara Tomy finally managed to produce a Cybertron alt mode version of Generation 1 Jazz. So even though it was a challenge put up by Sunbow Productions, having Jazz have the exact same robot mode as his Earth-based vehicle, but have transforming into an entirely different hovercraft type vehicle on planet Cybertron, we now finally have an action figure of this, and I'm just thrilled to have it. I'm thrilled to see it standing beside Origins Bumblebee. Hopefully we'll get Origins Wheeljack. And yeah, I just really enjoy how this Transformers action figure came out. So thank you once again to my good friend M.OTransformers for sending me Origin Jazz. I'll leave a link there's a link in it to M.OTransformers YouTube channel in the video description. But yes, thank you once again, and my good friend M.OTransformers for sending me Origin Jazz. I recommend you get this figure if you find it. And thank you guys all so much for your continued support. This has been the Fan Geek, and this has been my review of Transformers Legacy Evolution, Buzzworthy Bumblebee, Origin Jazz, or if you want to simplify it, this is Generation 1 Cybertron Alt Mode Jazz. I highly recommend you get this figure if you can. And from what I've seen, it's been hit or miss with Target Store, or as far as the distribution of Origins Jazz. There's Target stores that have a whole bunch of him, and there's Target stores that don't have any copies of him. But yes, thank you once again to my good friend M.OTransformers for sending me this. And thank you guys all so much. And until next time, you guys, this has been the TF Fan Geek. Stay safe, stay healthy, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.